Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to another Omega Insight. Tonight's topic may be a little difficult for some of us. I want to talk about the idea of being trapped in the game of praise and blame. Now, I can just change the words out, praise being approval and blame being disapproval. So we get involved in the dynamics of running towards praise, we can't get enough of it, and running away from blame, we don't want any of it. The approval, disapproval, praise, blame dynamics that we get involved in. Now, we all love, I don't have to explain this. Everybody knows what it feels like to be praised. We get a warm glow. We feel energized, flattered. Some of us, it's like, oh, too much, but it really is, it feels special. Kind of think about it when you're freezing, let's say, and you have that cup of hot chocolate and that warmth that goes over you, and it's like, oh, and it feels just so nice and relaxing. That can be a sufficient amount of praise, and that's good for us. Just like we discussed last week, how the ego can be very beneficial when we keep it in check, it can be very helpful. Our ego helps us have confidence, self esteem, allows us to take those risks, to step out of our comfort zone and go for the dreams and reach for the things that we desire in our lives. That's good. A healthy ego is good. And what feeds the healthy ego is the praise. So when we get um, praise that is quality praise. So what I mean by that is there are praises out there that are just empty. Oh, great job. And you know they're not even paying attention. Oh, I loved what you did. And you know they didn't even watch what you did or read what you wrote, but they're still giving you the praise. So this is a little cautious to be aware of. When you receive empty praise, it doesn't feed your ego. It actually draws you down because then you want to continue on figuring get them to give you the real praise. So you're wrapped up in that dynamics. Now you're engaged in a conversation with someone until you feel that heavy, that good, fulfilling, robust kind of praise. That's cautious. We have to be cautious about that. And the same is true with the disapproval or the blame. When people blame us for things, "Oh, we don't want to be blamed," but blame actually can help us learn about responsibility. But when it comes to the disapproval, here's something that I think is very important to remember. When someone disapproves of us, we have to ask the question: Is this about me or is it about them? Have I done something that has been offensive? Or are they just upset because I'm not the way they want me to be? It's very cautious here. And when we can filter through the disapproval and say, oh, okay, I really did something that was uh, aggressive, or I came across without intending to hurt someone, but apparently I did. And yes, I did do it. Then absolutely, disapproval is great because then we could recognize it, bring it back, bring ourselves back into integrity and clean it up. But when we have somebody who disapproves of us just simply because they want us to act like the way they want us, and if we don't act their way, they're going to continue to disapprove, that's unhealthy. Again, it's shallow disapproval, it's shallow blaming. And when we get wrapped up into that, before you know it, we're jumping through hoops to try to get this person to like me and that person to like me and that person when we don't even know half those people. And I'm thinking about social media. For some people who have millions, let's say, of followers, and they will get stuck on the people who are giving the negative feedback. It's amazing. You can receive all this positive feedback, but when we get that negative, it discounts all the positive. And somehow we focus on that negative. It's important to remember that the disapproval that we receive may not have anything to do with us, just could simply be them. Now, social media doesn't have the run on this. I mean, growing up where I grew up, we didn't have social media. We had the social crowd, let's say, and the approvals and the disapprovals of grades. That was your approval and disapproval. Whenever you were in sports, winning and losing, approval, disapproval. debates, approval, disapproval. But of course, you had the evaluations when you started working. There was always an evaluation, and you wanted to obviously not be disapproved of. And when you were approved of, that's when you got the raises. And when you weren't approved of, that's when you didn't get the raises. And that made sense. So that was a helpful form of approval, disapproval. But today, when we've switched over to the life or death, if I don't get the likes, I feel sad for the teenagers in today's society. They really do have a little bit more pressure than we did growing up. I never had cyberbullying or, the slamming, and we've talked about this before, where you had the people who flex their internet muscles and somehow they feel good about tearing someone else apart. We all understand that. It's because they don't feel good, so they put somebody else down to make themselves feel better. We get that. But with social media, it happens instantaneously and people jump on the bandwagon. And so I can understand how when one fixates on that negative comment, no matter how many positive comments they get, that negative comment will destroy them. And that's the caution. When we get involved in the praise and the blame, the disapproval and approval, when we let that define who we are, we become lost and we are trapped. There is no freedom because what that person says matters. What you say about me defines me. It's absolutely inappropriate. In the path of self knowledge and self awareness, we understand that who I am is based upon what I believe myself to be. Again, this isn't arrogant. I'm not going to walk around going, I don't care what you say. No, no, no. Feedback is very important as long as it's valued and robust feedback. In other words, it's not fake. The same thing with praise. We don't want to have fake praise. We don't have fake feedback, the negative disapproval. If the feedback is true and I did say something inappropriate and I recognize it, heavens to Betsy, yes, that's beneficial for me. We have to remember to come from a place that emotion doesn't dictate our experiences. We When it comes to the approval and disapproval. So when I'm receiving praise, do not let my emotions dictate that. Don't make it be so big that it's all about me. And remember that the same thing goes true for the disapproval. We don't want the disapproval to make it be all about me and not recognize whether or not it's actually appropriate. Um, in Omega, we often talk about the value of every point of view. So when somebody praises me, that's valuable. When somebody disapproves of me or blames me, that too is also valuable. The idea is to not let it knock me off center and not let it be everything. One of the things I really did love about working with George is he never seemed to let anything get to him. No matter how many times people would praise him and give him these great acknowledgments and gifts, he never let it get to him. And the same was true when somebody would go after him and try to tear him a new ego, we'll say. He never let it get to him either. He always was very gracious and kind and said thank you. Whether it was positive and negative or negative, he would just say thank you and not let it get to him. That's the work. That's what I believe is true to be. It's the work to find value in whatever comes to me and not make it be the end of the world, whether it's the amount of praise or the amount of disapproval. Just not let it be the end of the world. So thank you for letting me share this little topic. It's so important. I say little topic, but it really is very important. And I think it's important for today's day and age with all of the likes and dislikes that we strive for. It's very important for us to remind ourselves to stay centered. And of course, the best thing to remind ourselves is to the concept of self praise, good job, as well as oh missed up there. Don't hype your ego up so much that you think you're the greatest person because we're not. We're just another person on the planet. But don't make yourself worse that you feel like you're the worst person on the planet. Just remember that the voice that should matter the most is the one that comes from you. That's the most important. Thank you again for joining me this evening. I look forward to speaking with you on our another topic for next week. I think we're talking about being going to jail next week. So it ties in a little bit with this praise and blame. I hope you have a wonderful evening tonight, and I look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye now.